Kunja Vihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamunati. Jaya Radha Madhava. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari. Jaya Krishna Rukmini Jaya Satyabhama. Krishna Rukmini Jaya Satyabhama. Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram. Krishna Balaram. Jaya Krishna Balaram. Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Gauranitai. Gauranitai. Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. 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 Jai Vishnuvad Paramahansa Parivrajakacharyashthottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Vishnuvad Paramahansa Parivrajakacharyashthottara Sata Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhari Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Shri Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama Ki Jai. Shri Shri Krishna Balaram Ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai Ki Jai. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad-Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 24, the renunciation of Kardama Muni. Text number 31. Tani eva te abhirupani. Tanyeva te abhirupani. Tanyeva te abhirupani. Rupani Bhagavans Tava. Rupani Bhagavams Tava. Rupani Bhagavams Tava. Yani Yani Cha Rochante. Yani Yani Cha Rochante. Yani Yani Cha Rochante. Swa Janana Arupinaha. Swajanana Arupinaha. Swajanana Arupinaha. Tanyeva te bhirupani. Rupani bhagavamstava. Yani yani cha rochante. Swajanana arupinaha. Tanyeva te bhirupani. Rupani bhagavamstava. Yani yani cha rochante. Swajanana arupinaha. Tani, those, eva, truly, te, your, abhirupani, suitable, rupani, forms, Bhagavan, O Lord, tava, your, yani yani, whichever, cha, and, rochante, are pleasing, swajanana, to your own devotees, arupinaha, of one with no material form. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. My dear Lord, although you have no material form, you have your own innumerable forms. They truly are your transcendental forms which are pleasing to your devotees. Kindly repeat, my dear Lord, although you have no material form, you have your own innumerable forms. They truly are your transcendental forms which are pleasing to your devotees. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. In the Brahma Samhita it is stated that the Lord is one absolute, but He has ananta or innumerable forms. Advaitam achyutam anadim ananta rupam. The Lord is the original form, but still He has multi-forms. Those multi-forms are manifested by Him transcendentally, according to the tastes of His multi-devotees. It is understood that once Hanuman, the great devotee of Lord Ramachandra, said that he knew that Narayana, the husband of Lakshmi, and Rama, the husband of Sita, are one and the same, and that there is no difference between Lakshmi and Sita. But as for himself, he liked the form of Lord Rama. In a similar way, some devotees worship the original form of Krishna. When we say Krishna, we refer to all forms of the Lord, not only Krishna, but Rama, Narasimha, Varaha, Narayana, etc. The varieties of transcendental forms exist simultaneously. That is also stated in the Brahma Samhita. Ramadimurtishu nanavataram. He already exists in multi-forms, but none of the forms are material. Sridhar Swami has commented that arupanaha, without form, means without material form. The Lord has form, otherwise how can it be stated here? Tani evate abhirupani rupani bhagavam stava. You have your forms, but they are not material. Materially you have no form, but spiritually, transcendentally you have multi-forms. Mayavadi philosophers cannot understand these transcendental forms of the Lord, and being disappointed, they say that the Supreme Lord is impersonal. But that is not a fact. Whenever there is a form, there is a person. Many times in Vedic literatures, the Lord is described as Purusha, which means the original form, the original enjoyer. The conclusion is that the Lord has no material form, and yet, according to the liking of different grades of devotees, he simultaneously exists in multi-forms, such as Rama, Narasimha, Varaha, Narayana, and Mukunda. There are many thousands and thousands of forms, but they are all Vishnu Tattva, Krishna. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjanachalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namavo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mokam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam. 5,000 years ago, when Kamsa was ruling over the Mathura and its allied places, he, as we all know, he had heard about the 8th child of Devaki, his sister, being the cause of his death. From that time onwards, he was always trying to ward off his death by killing the person who was born to kill him. He sent many asuras and many female asuras also, like Putana, and there was Bakasura, Aghasura. All these people were sent with the goal to kill all children who were born within the 10 days of birth of Krishna. They were to go to all villages, towns, cities, everywhere and kill all the children who were born within that 10-day period of Krishna's appearance. The asuras were going around, they were killing many children, but those asuras which came to Braj, they were killed by Krishna. Now, Kamsa was unaware of who is the person who was born to kill him. And he was constantly searching, who is that person, who is that person. Then one day, Narada Muni came to him and revealed to him that Krishna, who is living in Vrindavan as the son of Nanda and Yashoda, he is the person who is destined to kill Kamsa. Then Kamsa, when he heard this, he made a plan. He thought, now Krishna is in Vrindavan By that time, Krishna was already 10 years, 6 months old. He thought, how do I catch him now? How do I kill him? How do I trap him? If I go and attack Vrindavan, he may run away. At least now, until now, I was searching, I do not know who it was. Now I know who it is. But if I go and attack Vrindavan, Krishna will run away. And I should not let him know also that I have come to know that he is the person who is destined to kill me. How to trap Krishna? He thought best way is to somehow make a scheme by which Krishna can be brought to Mathura. If he comes to Mathura, then there are many ways. There are many. I have my army, I have so many of my bodyguards, many of my friends, many of my partners, different asuras, they're all there. Chanura, Mushtika, Tosala, all these people are also there. Then there is my army, I have many elephants. I can use all of this and I can manage to kill Krishna. Thinking like this, he called Akrura, who was the uncle of Krishna, and sent a message with him to Vrindavan, saying that I am organizing a big mela. And in this mela, there will be worship of the Dhanush, of the bow which was given by Lord Shiva. And there is also going to be a wrestling match, sports. Like nowadays we have Olympics, Asiad, so many games we also have. Like that, Kamsa said, I will organize a wrestling match. He created a very big stadium. In the middle of this stadium, there were different arenas for the wrestling bouts to take place. Simultaneously, different wrestling matches could happen and the people could all sit and watch. News spread everywhere. People all became very enthusiastic to participate. And Kamsa sent Akrura with a message that this mela is being organized in Mathura. All of you can come and attend this mela. Because every year, the Vrajavasis, they used to go and submit their taxes to Kamsa. They were tax-paying citizens of the Mathura kingdom. He sent word to them as well as to all others also. But to Vrindavan, he especially sent Akrura because he wanted that somehow or the other, they should be brought. They should not think that, okay, some mela is going on, why we have to go? No. Akrura came to Vrindavan and he informed Krishna and Balaram about the plan of Kamsa, that he is calling you not for the mela. All this he has organized just to trap you in Mathura and to kill you. Krishna and Balaram simply smiled and they laughed at the plans of Kamsa and they said, we'll come, don't worry. But they did not reveal all this to the other Vrajavasis. Nanda Maharaj and all the other Vrajavasis, they thought, okay, some nice mela is going on. Kamsa is called, let us collect all our belongings, whatever we have to pay taxes. Anyway, we were due to pay taxes to the government. So we'll go pay our taxes and we'll watch the whole mela and we'll come back. All the Vrajavasis, headed by Nanda Maharaj, all the men, they also accompanied Krishna and Balaram to Mathura. By the time they reached Mathura, it had become evening. And since it was evening, the entire Nanda Maharaj and everybody, they set camp outside Mathura, outside the boundary of Mathura. They put a camp and all of them stayed there. That day, Krishna and Balaram, along with their cowherd boyfriends, they visited Mathura, went around. They wanted to see, they had heard a lot. Mathura is a big city, very opulent. They went around, seeing different things. And at that time, they came across that washerman, Dhobi, who, when Krishna and Balaram asked him, can you give us some clothes? Then he very derisively spoke to Krishna and Balaram, saying that these clothes are meant for Kamsa. What do you think? You're asking for the clothes of the king. If the king comes to know, he will behead you. So Krishna became very angry with him and he chopped off his head. And they took all the clothes and they enjoyed. Then Kubja also came. She very happily applied those different kinds of ointments and scents and perfumes and chandan that she was carrying. She was carrying it for Kamsa. But when Krishna asked for it, she immediately with great pleasure applied it to him. And Krishna became very pleased with her devotional service and she was actually a hunchback, Kubja. And Krishna immediately transformed her into a very beautiful young girl. And then there was a tailor who stitched all those clothes for Krishna and Balaram and the Gopas. There was a garland maker, he made garlands for them. So like this, the different Vrajavasis, they all very happily received Krishna and Balaram. And all the inhabitants of Mathura, the news had reached them that the residents of Vraja are coming and Krishna and Balaram are also coming. And the beauty of Krishna and Balaram had already become a famous talk of the town of the ladies of Mathura. So when Krishna and Balaram along with their Gopa friends entered Mathura, all the women folk of Mathura, they were all climbing on top of their houses, going to their terraces, going on the streets. They wanted to capture a glimpse of Krishna. And like this, everybody was very happy to see Krishna and Balaram come, except of course, Kamsa and his followers. The next day morning and also they visited the Dhanur Yajna area, and Krishna broke the bow which was kept for worship, and one small platoon of army was stationed there to protect the bow, and when they saw this, they attacked Krishna and Balaram. But Krishna and Balaram very easily killed both of them. Both of them, they killed the entire platoon of army. All this news reached Kamsa. Kamsa understood, okay, Krishna and Balaram are not simple cowherd boys. They are quite powerful. They are stronger than I thought. So next day was when the actual sports were supposed to happen. All the wrestling and all was supposed to happen. Now, what he had organized, Kamsa organized, okay, somehow they've escaped. Tomorrow, when they enter the arena, when they enter the stadium, he positioned one very big elephant called Kuvalayapida at the entrance to the stadium, with the instruction to the Mahout that when Krishna comes, the elephant has to trample Krishna. And this Kuvalayapida was not an ordinary elephant. Kuvalayapida was as strong as 1,000 elephants put together. Very strong elephant. And so this Mahout and Kuvalayapida elephant, they were waiting at the entrance of the stadium. And when Krishna and Balaram came, the Mahout goaded the elephant and tried to trample Krishna. But Krishna very easily killed the elephant. And Krishna and Balaram took out the two tusks of the elephant, and keeping the tusk on their shoulder, they entered the stadium. When they entered the stadium, Krishna and Balaram, teenagers, beautiful young teenagers, decorated with forest flowers, Vanamali, and having one Karnikara flower on his ears, with a peacock feather on his head, and the flute tucked in his belt, and captivating beauty. So, Krishna and Balaram, you can imagine teenagers, when they are teenagers, the bodies will be very tender and soft. So, tender youth, two people, they are entering the stadium along with all their friends. And when they entered that stadium already had got filled up with all kinds of people. There were all the residents of Mathura anyway. They had all heard about the Mela, and they had all come. There were different kings who were associates or allies of Kamsa. They had also come. They were all seated in the assembly. Then the Vrajavasis, Nanda Maharaj and all the Gopas, they had also come to the assembly, and they were already sitting there in the stadium. Then there were all the women folk of Mathura. And when the news had spread about this Mela, Shri Krishna Rukmini Satyabhama ki, different sages in the forest, they had also heard, different yogis, that Krishna and Balaram are coming. So Parabrahman is coming. Therefore they also came, let us witness. Because normally sages, rishis, what they have got to do with material sports and all that. But because they heard Krishna and Balaram are coming, they also came. The supreme absolute truth, Parabrahman is coming. They wanted to see him, so they also came. And like this, and Kamsa himself, he was seated on a very tall stage because he was the king. He was the king of Mathura, so naturally he had a very high position. He was seated on a stage which was higher than everybody else, according to his stature as the king. And of course, all the wrestlers, Chanura, Mushtika, all these people, they were also assembled. They were waiting in the middle of the wrestling, that arena, and they were waiting for Krishna and Balaram to come. Now, at that moment, Krishna, Balaram, accompanied with all the Gopas, they entered the stadium. And when they entered the stadium, everybody's eyes turned towards them. Because such exquisite beauty, who can be unattracted to the beauty of Krishna? When everybody saw Krishna, how they all saw him is described in the 10th canto of the Srimad-Bhagavatam. The Srimad-Bhagavatam, Shukadeva Goswami says, when all the eyes turned towards Krishna, how did they perceive him? Mallanam Ashanir. For the Mallas, for the wrestlers, Ashanir, he appeared like a thunderbolt. Although Krishna was a tender, young teenager and a very tender, delicate body, decorated with garlands and flower garlands and all that, he was dressed more like some kind of actor. He was not like a wrestling with rippling muscles and all that. Very tender body. But all these wrestlers, they were all parvatod bhutabhujantaropi. They were all like mountains. Their bodies were built. Like nowadays we see some people who go to the gym and all, their bodies will be built like mountains, bulging biceps and chest and six-pack abs and all that. They were like that. All the wrestlers were like that. Still, when they saw Krishna, they felt, oh, what is this powerful person who has come? They saw him not like a tender, delicate boy. If they had seen a tender, delicate boy, they would have said, we will finish him off. But when they saw Krishna, they thought he is like a thunderbolt. He is so powerful. And they got afraid in their hearts. Their hearts started palpitating. They were thinking, my God, we have to fight with him. This was their perception. Mallanam Ashanir Nirnam Naravaraha. For all the men who are assembled there, the residents of Mathura, the Mathuravasis, when they looked upon Krishna, they thought, such a beautiful person, most attractive for all women, very handsome. They saw him as the best of men, Naravaraha, most handsome of men. And for all the women of Mathura, how did they see him? That Strinam Smaro Murtiman. Smaraha means Cupid, Kamadeva. Smaro Murtiman means they saw he is Cupid personified. We are not able to control our attraction for him. If only I could associate with him. Their feelings of attraction were evoked when they saw Krishna. So when they saw Krishna, they saw him like Cupid personified, Kamadeva personified, Smaro Murtiman. And then all the Brajavasis, all the Gopas, when they looked at him, what did they see? Gopanam Swajano. When the Gopas, Nanda Maharaj and all the Gopas, they were sitting there, all the Gopas, when they saw him, they saw, hey, our Krishna, our relative, he is our Brajavasi. They felt, he is one of us, one of our relatives, Swajana. And so the Swajano, for Gopanam Swajano, Swapitroho Sishuhu. For Nanda Maharaj, when he saw Krishna, what did he think? Oh, he is my son. He is my dear son. So for him, he appeared like his child. And then, for Kamsa also saw Krishna. Mrityur Bhojapate. Bhojapati, Kamsa, the king of the Bhoja dynasty, when he saw Krishna, what happened? Fear gripped his heart. His heart started thudding. And there was perspiration, a cold sweat broke out on his forehead. And he was taking deep breaths. Why? Because when he didn't see Krishna, he saw Mrityuhu, he saw death personified entering the arena. That was how Kamsa saw Krishna. So the same Krishna who was seen like Cupid personified by all the women and as the most handsome person by all the men, and whom the Brajavasis, they saw as their own relative, and whom Nanda Maharaj saw as his own small child, Kamsa was seeing as his death personified. And then there were all the allies of Krishna, allies of Kamsa. How did they see him? Asatam Bhubujam Shasta. They saw Krishna this man is a very powerful controller. He can control all of us. All of the kings who were allies of Kamsa, they were Asatam. They were evil kings. When they saw Krishna, he is a powerful, very powerful guy. He can control all of us. That is the way they saw. And then all the yogis, they were also watching. They saw Krishna entering. How did they see? Tattvam param yoginam. When the yogis saw Krishna entering, they saw, oh, the Paratattva, the absolute truth. Param Satya has come, he has entered. That is the way they saw Krishna. And then all the Yadavas, they were also there. So for the Vrishni dynasty, the people of the Vrishni dynasty, means all the Yadavas, like Ugrasena and all the other personalities, Vasudeva, they were all there. So for all the Ugrasena and all those other personalities, Akrura and Kritavarma and all these people who are from the Yadava dynasty, Vrishninam, for them, Paradevateti, they felt he is the best person in our dynasty. He is the most famous person in our dynasty. They felt he is part of our dynasty. Rangam viditam gataha. So in this way, Sagrajam, so like this, Krishna entered the Rangam, the arena, that stadium. Krishna and Balaram entered like this. So we can see how Krishna is one person. He is entering all alone into the stadium. But different people, according to their different positions, each of them perceived Krishna differently. So this is how Krishna says in the Bhagavad-gita, Ye yathamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. Krishna reveals himself to each person according to their type and their extent of surrender to him. So people like Kamsa and all his allies, the evil kings, they were not surrendered to Krishna. So for them, Krishna appeared like death personified, like a very strong chastiser. That is the way he appeared to them. And like a thunderbolt to all those wrestlers who had come there with the intention of killing Krishna. So for all the evil-minded people, Krishna appeared like a thunderbolt, like a very strong chastiser, like death personified. And for his devotees, Krishna appeared like one among their family member, like Cupid personified, like a very handsome personality. That is how Krishna appeared to all of them. So this feature of Krishna is not only like this, it is even Shukadeva Goswami, when describing about Krishna's pastimes in the forest with his cowherd boyfriends, all the gopas, when they used to take the cows for grazing in the forest, the cows, they would take them to one place where there would be a lot of fresh grass. And while the cows started grazing grass, what will all the boys do? They didn't have much work to do. They would all go around playing. They would run after the birds. They would imitate the cooing of the cuckoos. Then they would jump like the frogs. They will show their teeth towards the monkeys. Like this, they would, and then they would go and see some old dark well which is lying there. They would call out ill names into the well, and the well will echo back all these bad names. And then somebody will, then there will be a competition among them. So Krishna is going there. Who amongst us can run and first touch Krishna? So they would all run. And somebody would go and touch Krishna first like this. So like this, they would play whole day with Krishna. Sukadeva Goswami, describing all these, all the pastimes of all the Gopa friends of Krishna with him, he appreciated their fortune. And he said, Ittam satam brahma sukhanu bhutya. Who is this Krishna? This Krishna is worshipped as Brahman by all the impersonalists and the yogis, the Brahmavadis, the Jnanis and the yogis. They worship this Krishna as the impersonal Brahman. Itham satam brahma sukhanubhutya dasyam gatanam paradaivatena. Those who are devotees of Krishna, they accept servitorship to Krishna, and they accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Maya Shritanam Naradarakena, those who are completely in Maya, those people who are engaged in sense gratification, who think they are the body, they are steeped in the bodily conception of life. Those people, when they say Krishna, they think he is an ordinary man, some historical personality, maybe a powerful ruler. People like Kamsa, Jarasandha, and even today, many people, they cannot understand the position of Krishna. Like some people, some scholars, when they analyze the Ramayana, they said, let us analyze the Ramayana. But before analyzing, first thing what is there, we will keep aside the conception of Rama as God, and then we will analyze Ramayana. They cannot digest that Lord Rama is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Like that, they also try to analyze Krishna, take him as an ordinary man. Maybe little powerful, little more powerful than ordinary men. Like that they try to analyze. They cannot understand. They think, so Maya Shritana, those who are completely bewildered by Maya, they think Krishna is an ordinary person. Maya Shritana Naradarakena. They think he is an ordinary Nara, or ordinary human being. Sardham Vijakhruhu Kritapunya Punjaha. Vijakhruhu, the friends of Krishna, Vijakhruhu, they enjoyed playing with Krishna like this. Kritapunya Punjaha. Nobody can understand how much punya they must have accumulated over innumerable millions of lifetimes to be able to have the great fortune to play with that Supreme Personality of Godhead like this. So this was Shukadeva Goswami's appreciation of the great fortune, the immeasurable fortune of the cowherd boyfriends of Krishna. So here also you can see the same Krishna is seen as an ordinary human being by those who are completely bewildered by Maya. The same Krishna is seen as the impersonal Brahman by the great Jnanis, and he is seen as a supreme worshipable Lord with great reverence by those who are in the mood of servitorship to Krishna. And that Krishna is playing like an ordinary cowherd boy along with all his friends in the forests of Vrindavan. So you see how Krishna reciprocates with each person according to the way they approach him. So it is stated even in the Purushabodhini Upanishad that Eko Devo Nitya Leelanurakto Bhakta Vyapi Hridyantaratma. Even the Upanishad state, Eko Devo, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is only one. That is another misconception which is promoted and imposed upon the Sanatana Dharma before. You see, what happens is, before the Mughal leaders, Mughal invasion into India, and before the Britishers came to India and all that, the Sanatana Dharma, people of Sanatana Dharma knew very clearly that the Supreme Lord is Vishnu. And all other devatas, they are all called devatas. Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, Ganesha, all these personalities, they are devatas. And these devatas are subordinate to Vishnu. Even the Vedic scriptures are very clear. They say, Om Tad Vishnoho Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Surayaha. So all the Suryas, all the demigods, all the devatas, like Indra, Chandra, Shiva, Brahma, Ganesha, all these personalities, they are constantly waiting. When will we have darshan of the lotus feet of Vishnu? Om Tad Vishnoho Paramam Padam. That lotus feet of Vishnu are the ultimate goal for all the devatas. So all the devatas are devotees of Vishnu, and they understand the position of Vishnu as the Supreme Personality. This understanding was very clearly there in the Sanatana Dharma. Now what happened is, when all these Mughal invaders and the Britishers and all these people came to India, they could not understand the Sanatana Dharma culture. Everywhere they saw there is one temple for Hanuman, there is one temple for Ganesha, there is one temple for Shiva, there is one temple for Vishnu. somebody is worshipping somebody else. So like this, they thought, oh, Hindus means they worship many, many gods. That was their conclusion, because they had no understanding of Sanatana Dharma. And that understanding they put into all the English education system. As a result of which today, even in India, people have this misconception, thinking that Hindu Dharma means it is pantheistic, you have many, many gods. In fact, in India we have this Kaun Banega Karodpati, isn't it? Where they ask many, many questions to different participants, and if you answer, you get some money, cash prize. This Kaun Banega Karodpati has come from a show in the US, which is similar. There also they ask many, many questions on general knowledge, and anybody who is able to answer all the questions correctly, they get some $1 million or something like that. In one of those shows in the US, they were the final contestant who has come to the final level. He has to answer the few last questions, and he will get that, I don't know, $1 million or whatever was the prize. One of the questions they asked him was, and they ask the question and they give different options. So they said, which major religion of the world is pantheistic? Pantheistic means they accept many, many gods. Monotheistic means they have only one God. Like the Muslims, Islam considers God is Allah, one person. If you go to Christianity, they say God is our Father in heaven, one person. So, which of the major religions in the world is pantheistic? Means it has many, many gods. 1, Islam. 2, Christianity. 3, Hinduism. 4, Buddhism. So, select which one. And that man who was the contestant, he pressed Hinduism. And immediately the host, he said, yes, you have got the correct answer. This is their understanding. Poor people, they have not read our scriptures. They don't know our this one. When they come, they see many, many temples of different devatas, and they think all of them they are worshipping as gods. And unfortunately, what has happened is that thought they have imposed upon the Indians, and now all Indians also think like this. So they say, no, if you repeat a lie 1,000 times, that lie will become a truth. Like that, they've gone on repeating this, and we have also silently accepted it. So anyway, in the Sanatana Dharma, everybody knows that Vishnu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And so where did this point come up? I forgot the trail. So what was I talking about? Correct. Demigod, Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam. All the demigods, they also worship the Lord Vishnu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the Eko Devo Nitya Leela Anurakto. That's what I was talking about. The Purushabodhini Upanishad. Even the Upanishads are stating that in Sanatana Dharma, even the Upanishads are stating, the Upanishads are considered the most authoritative of all the Vedic scriptures. So even the Upanishads are stating, Eko Devo, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is only one. And that one Supreme Personality of Godhead, Nitya Leela Anuraktaha, is constantly engaged in various Leelas, pastimes, which is referring to Krishna. He is constantly engaged in pastimes. If you see, Krishna is always playing a flute, sporting with the Vrajavasis, he is playing around, and he is not interested in going fighting and all these kind of things. Sometimes some asuras come to disturb, he will kill them. But otherwise, main activity of Krishna is playing with the cowherd boyfriends, engaged in Ras Leela, or engaged in some Leela with his mother. So he is always engaged in wonderful pastimes. Eko Devo Nitya Leela Anurakta, constantly is engaged in pastimes. In the spiritual world, none of these asuras are there. Aghasura, Bakasura, all these asuras are not there. So, in the spiritual world, Krishna is only engaged in happy pastimes. Whereas all other incarnations, you see, they have descended for engaging in some activity which involves killing some asura and establishing dharma. Lord Ramachandra also came, main purpose of his descent was to kill Ravana and establish dharma. Parasurama descended to kill the deviant Kshatriyas 21 times. So, if you look at Vamanadeva, he came to conquer Bali Maharaj. If you look at Varahadev, he came to kill Hiranyaksha. Narsimhadev appeared to kill Hiranyakashipu. So all the avatars, they appear for vanquishing some particular asura. Whereas Krishna, he came to enjoy his leelas with his devotees. And when he came, so many asuras came. He killed all of them one after the other. That also part of his pastime. So he was not really engaged. Otherwise, you see Narsimha, you see Varaha, all of them, long drawn pastime of the whole central theme of this one is how the Lord finally comes face to face with that asura and vanquishes him with that over. Same thing with Lord Ramachandra also. But when it comes to Krishna, he killed so many asuras. And all of them very quickly, very easily killed. But main reason for Krishna's descent was to enjoy his pastimes with all the Vrajavasis. That was his main activity. So, Eko Devo Nitya Leela Anurakta. In the spiritual world especially, there are no asuras. Krishna's only job is Leela. Pastimes with his Vrajavasi, all his devotees. Eko Devo Nitya Leela Anurakta Bhakta Vyapi Hridyantaratma. And he engages in all these Leelas according to Bhakta Hridi, whatever the Bhaktas, the devotees, the way they want to relate with Krishna. Accordingly, Krishna relates with them in various avatars. Prahlad Maharaj wanted to see Krishna as Narsimhadev, so he appeared as Narsimha. So, like that, the Lord, to engage in his pastimes and to engage reciprocating, and for reciprocating loving dealings with his devotees, he takes various avatars. As Prabhupada is mentioning in the purport also, that from the Brahma Samhita, Ramadi Murtishu Kalaniyamena Tishtan Nanavataram Akarod Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samabhavat Paramapumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So in different murtis, different incarnations like Lord Rama, Narsimha, Varaha, etc., the Lord descended to engage in various pastimes with his devotees. So the Lord, Krishna, he takes on different incarnations, different forms for engaging in leelas, for engaging in pastimes with his devotees. And Krishna personally himself, he not only takes different forms like Narsimha, Vamana, etc., he also, in his personal form as Krishna, reciprocates with his devotees according to their surrender to him. Like we saw, for Kamsa and for the wrestlers and for the evil-minded kings who were assembled in that arena, that same Krishna appeared like thunderbolt, like death personified, like a chastiser. And for the people of Mathura and for the Gopas and the people of Vrishni, how did Krishna appear? He appeared like one of their own people. He appeared like Cupid personified. So like this, Krishna personally also reciprocates with different people according to their surrender. Not only that, even to those who recognize Krishna as a supreme personality and who love him, for them also Krishna engages in 4 kinds of rasas. Dasya rasa, Sakya rasa, Vatsalya rasa and Madhurya rasa. Accordingly, as the devotee wants to accept Krishna as the master, for people like Daruka and others, Raktaka, Daruka, all these people, Krishna appears as a master and they appear as his servants. For personalities like Nanda Maharaj, Yasoda Mai, Krishna appears as their son because they want to serve Krishna in paternal affection. And then when it comes to all the Gopas like Subala, Sridhama, etc., Krishna appears as a friend, as an equal to all of them. And for all the Gopis headed by Radharani, Krishna appears as their lover. So according to the level of surrender of the devotee, the way the devotee wants to reciprocate with Krishna, Krishna takes on different avatars, or even as Krishna himself, Krishna deals with them differently with each of them. This is the transcendental way of reciprocation of Krishna with all the living entities. And so therefore, Karda Mumuni is telling Kapaladev, Tanyeva birupani rupani bhagavanstava yanyani rochante swajananam arupinaha. My dear Lord, although you have no material form, the form of Krishna is not material, it is transcendental. So even though you have a transcendental form, you have your innumerable forms. So Krishna's incarnations, all the innumerable forms, they are truly transcendental, which are pleasing to your devotees. That's Swajananam. Rochante Swajananam. Krishna takes on different avatars, different incarnations, plus Krishna also appears differently to his different devotees to give pleasure to them. Rochante Swajananam. So this is how we have to understand the different incarnations and how Krishna appeared differently to different personalities. So I'll stop here. If there are any questions or comments, we can discuss.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna's descent and his pastimes, the killing of Kamsa is very predominantly described. And the purpose of his incarnation, the historians tell Kamsa's killing is the main purpose of Krishna's advent. Like how Rama advented to kill Ravana, when the historians tell it this way. But the mention of Shishupala and Dandavakra, who are the incarnations of Jaya Vijaya, is not as equivalently described in his pastimes. So what made Kamsa so special than the other two associates of Krishna, Prabhu?
Well, the importance of Kamsa comes from the fact that the killing of Kamsa became the point of Krishna shifting from Vrindavan to Mathura. Otherwise, Krishna killed so many asuras before Kamsa, and Krishna killed so many asuras after Kamsa also. Dantavakra and this Shishupala, all these people, they were killed by Krishna after the killing of Kamsa, and also killing of Duryodhana and all those people. So all of those asuras also Krishna killed after killing Kamsa. Now the point why Kamsa becomes a little prominent is because that's the point at which Krishna switches from Vrindavan to Mathura. Otherwise, if you look at the Bhagavatam also, the killing of Kamsa by Krishna is only one chapter, the 10th canto. 10th canto, there are almost 90 chapters. So, and Krishna killed him very easily. He just jumped on the dais where Kamsa was seated, dragged him down, punched him 2-3 times, over, Kamsa was killed. That's all. So, if you look at how Rama killed Ravana, huge battle for so many days and seesawing this way, that way, so many soldiers, commanders, with so much difficulty, Rama killed this man, Ravana. And after he killed Ravana, over. They came back, he became the king, and then after a few more pastimes, he left the world. So you see, in the case of other avatars, that killing of that particular asura is the culmination. With that ends. Narasimhadev killed Hiranyakashipu, with that over. Pastime is over. Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha, pastime is over. Parasurama killed the Kshatriyas 21 times, after that he retired and went for meditation, over. But Krishna killed Kamsa, it didn't stop there. After that also he was going on killing. He killed Jarasandha, he killed the Shishupala, Dantavakra, all the Kauravas. So the pastimes continued. So what we have to understand is, the killing of Kamsa becomes a little prominent because at that point Krishna switches from Vrindavan to Mathura. Otherwise, Kamsa is also like one of the rest of the various asuras whom Krishna killed. Okay?
Okay.
Anybody else? Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Time and space is in material world. In spiritual world, how it is?
Time and space in the material world, how it appears in the spiritual world. So, in the material world, time is present in 3 forms. We perceive time in 3 forms. What are those? Past, present and future. Isn't it? So, when we say time, I remember we had a subject called metrology in engineering. I studied mechanical engineering. So in mechanical engineering, there is a study called metrology. In metrology, we study how to measure various things. How to measure mass, how to measure weight, how to measure velocity, how to measure length, breadth, dimensions. So the measure of time is also coming under metrology. Now when each object we take up for measurement in metrology, they define what is mass, what is weight, what is velocity, what is acceleration. Everything is defined. When it comes to time, our professor who was teaching us, he was the head of the department of the mechanical department, who was teaching us this subject, metrology. He said time is something which cannot be defined. You can measure time in terms of seconds and minutes and hours, but you cannot define time. But Prabhupada gave a wonderful definition of time. Prabhupada said time is the force which brings about change, which is the reality. As time goes, things change. So we cannot perceive time as such, like we can perceive space. We can perceive so many things, form, we can perceive taste, we can perceive touch, but you cannot perceive time. Time you can perceive only in terms of whatever was there earlier but is not there now. Like yesterday, it was night. And suppose it is Purnima, you would have seen the moon. Moonshine was there yesterday night. That means yesterday night has gone. It is a past. So we understand past in terms of some features which are not there today. And present. Present means currently what is there. Sunlight is there. It is raining. So whatever features are there currently, we understand this is present. And we talk of the future. Now it is daytime. By evening it will become dark. Sunlight will not be there. So we talk of these three terms in terms of facilities which were there but not there now. What we have now and what we will have in the future. So in those terms, time is defined as past, present and future. And time is the force which brings about change in this material world. In spiritual world, time exists only in one feature. What is that? That is the present. There is no past, there is no future. Meaning that everything is constant, there is no change. Time does not bring about change. It has no force to bring about change in the spiritual world. In this material world, change means the facilities which we have, they keep changing. Today I may be a young man. 20 years later, I'll be an old man. So my youth is gone. The facility of youth which I have now is gone. In the spiritual world, everyone is constantly young or constantly old. People like Krishna, then all his cowherd boyfriends, the gopis, Radharani, they are all in the prime of youth, Kaishora. So if you look at the ages, different ages, young children up to 5 years, they are called Kumaras. 5 to 10 years, they are called Pauganda. And then up to 5 years it is called Balya. Then you have Pauganda. Then 10 to 15 years they are called Kumaras, Kaumarya. And then it becomes Yuvaka. So Kishora. After 15 years they become Kishora. So Krishna is constantly, and in that Kaishora age also is divided into three parts. One is the beginning of Kaishora. One is the middle of Kaishora, the prime of Kaishora. And the end of Kaishora resulting in Yavana, youth. So Krishna is always in the spiritual world, in Goloka Vrindavan, in the prime of Kaishora, in the middle of Kaishora. He is always in that form. Krishna never becomes old. Krishna never becomes younger than that. Krishna is constantly in Kaishora. Similarly, Radharani and the gopis also in Kaishora. Then there are personalities like Mukhara, Jatila. They are all grandmothers of Radharani, Krishna and all. They are always old. Their hair will be grey, some teeth would have fallen out. They are constantly old only. And people like Nandamara and Yasodamai, they are constantly in middle age. So everybody is in that same form constantly. There is no change. And every day for them, Leelas with Krishna, enjoying with Krishna. Therefore, time cannot bring about change in the spiritual world. Everybody is constantly in their original constitutional position. So, in the spiritual world, Krishna says, Na tadbhasayate shashanko na suryo. Like in this material world is full of darkness. So, you have to bring about light. And therefore, there has to be sun and moon to provide light in this dark world. And Krishna says spiritual world is constantly effulgent. You don't need a sun or moon there, not required. Always it is bright. No darkness, no night. So now if it is always bright and full of effulgence, full of light, then how will Krishna go to sleep in the night? Therefore Yogamaya creates night artificially, so that Yasodamai can do service of putting Krishna to sleep. And then when after Yasodamai puts Krishna to sleep, Krishna will escape from the house in the middle of the night and go and enjoy Ras Leela with the gopis. So, in the spiritual world, there is no change which can be brought about by time. Whatever change is there, like day and night, is brought about by Yogamaya for the purpose of Krishna to engage in different kinds of pastimes. So therefore, time is conspicuous by its absence in the spiritual world. So, in this material world, we have, in terms of space, we have experience of space which restricts forms into 3 dimensions. That's how it is. And I can be present in space at one point of time in one place. I can occupy a certain amount of space, like I'm sitting here now. I cannot be sitting in Delhi now. I cannot be sitting in somewhere else 1 kilometer away right now, because I'm here right now. So I occupy a certain portion of space at a given point of time. In the spiritual world, that limitation of space is not there. One person can be present simultaneously in many places. Just like when Krishna engaged in the Ras Leela with all the gopis, there were 16,108 gopis. And between every 2 gopis, Krishna was there. And with Radharani, Krishna was alone. And all the gopis were thinking, Krishna is with me alone. How is it possible? Because there is no limitation of space. So, the limitations that time and space impose upon us in the material world, those limitations are not there in the spiritual world. Time is there in the spiritual world in its feature only in the present, not in the past and future. Space is present in the spiritual world, but without the limitation of without the limitations of space within the material world. So this is how space and time are present in the spiritual world, but in a completely different form. The space and time which we experience in this material world are perverted reflections of the experience of time and space in the spiritual world. That's how it is. Is that okay? Mataji?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I want to think only Krishna for 24 hours.
Sorry?
24 hours, if I want to think only the Krishna. No?
You want to think of Krishna 24
Krishna.
hours?
But I can't be able to, some distraction is there.
Some distractions keep coming.
How can I be able to?
How to think of Krishna 24 hours? Yes. Okay. So that's the goal of every devotee. Everybody wants to think of Krishna 24 hours. So we begin by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In the beginning, we may limit ourselves to chanting one mala, then we make it 2 malas, then we make it 4 malas, then we make it 16 malas. So at least 2 hours in a day, we are constantly associating with Krishna. Then when we become attached more to Krishna, what happens? Whenever we get free time, I'm driving somewhere, or I'm walking and going somewhere, or I'm waiting for someone, we keep chanting Hare Krishna. So whenever we get free time, we start remembering Krishna. Remembering Krishna means remember the holy name of Krishna. We start chanting Krishna's holy name. And so as we go on practicing like this, eventually a time will come when constantly we'll be, whatever we see and whatever we do, we'll be able to relate with Krishna. So that stage will come. It is an elevated stage. It has to come automatically. Artificially we cannot imitate. At our stage, what we have to do is we have to remind ourselves to chant minimum of 16 malas, and over and above that, whenever we get free time, we keep chanting Krishna's holy name. Gradually, Krishna, as we become more and more attached to Krishna, that remembrance of Krishna will come automatically. Is that okay? So we'll stop here. Grantharaj Srimad-Bhagavatam ki jai, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Netai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.